Right, kia ora. So we've gone through what human designer Gene Keys have given myself and others awareness, this permission to be bold, and a greater clarity. And clarity being the replacement of conditioning. Clarity is what is built by us through choice and through doing the mahi. Clarity is what we get when we have rebuilt our thinking, our way of thinking, when we have decolonized and now re-indigenized our thinking. That is the kind of clarity that I'm referring to. And in this next piece, I'm going to go over why this is all very, very needed right now. When I think about awareness, I think about dark places. When people can't see in a dark place, what do? They cling to a rail or a wall or something. They want the light to turn on because we can't see. I also think about when we're driving. Imagine driving down a very remote country road. There's no light post. There's no, there might be those things on the road, but probably not. It's just dark. Imagine if our headlights didn't work. What are we going to do? We're going to stop because we're not going to drive a vehicle at 50 kilometers an hour, not even 10 kilometers an hour, and like operate this vehicle because we don't know if there's a corner or if we're going off a cliff or what. We don't know what is in front of us because the headlights aren't working to light up and show us where we're going or what's in our surroundings and in our environment. So we stop. When I think about awareness, I think about you know, dark places and then also spaces that are lit up. We're more likely to move in a space that is lit up where we can see, where we have awareness. And what's happening right now is that, I've worked with these modalities for the last 3.5 years, and now I just feel like it's so needed because I can see people clinging to the rails for certainty, for a bit of light, to know where they're going. Because of all these things that are happening in the world, the shifts that are happening on a planetary level, which I still don't know much about. I'm still got my finger on the pulse watching what's happening there, but we are undoubtedly in a time of evolution and a shift and an evolution. And I can see people clinging to get some sort of certainty, except the thing, while it makes sense to cling to something, when we cannot see or when we are, trying to navigate our way, the thing right now is we're being asked to let go and to surrender and to trust that we can see in the dark. And that is just not new. That is just not normal. So people are lost, they are scrambling, being divided, challenged, tested to new limits, completely new limits. People are suffering, people are dying, there's like, for the likes of like Gaza, people are dying, people are suffering. Okay. In our neck of the woods, like, countries that are not torn by genocide and war, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's disorders, there's isolation, there's addiction, there's disconnection, there's abuse happening in homes and families and relationships, there's hiding, there's a heightened amount of hiding and a heightened amount of putting forward our best foot. And there's a lot of violence and people are just hurting. And there is a formula. It's very foolproof and it's very simple. Hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people, go on to hurt people. Hurt people, hurt people. There's hurting out in the world. There is just people trying to hold on to the damn rail, waiting for the lights to get switched on. And right now we just need to light this bitch up. That's what we need to do. We need to light this bitch up. You know, often in the past, you know, in the last 3.5 years, I've, you know, been focused on like, you know, doing like having jam sessions, but then under pressure to like actually have a business and charge for them. And I didn't want to do that. And I would share this mahi for free anyway, you know. And I know that that's not a good attitude to have when running a business, but I've kind of just come to terms with like, I'm going to get so lost if I don't just share this knowledge out now and then just trust and surrender and let go of like needing to know how it's all going to go. I just need to like share it now. Like that's all I've ever needed to do. But this conditioning around how it needs to be shared and like in what capacity and how we're going to structure it and how we're going to get paid for it and how hurt people are hurting people, and people are doing the bloody best that they can to just hold on to that rail. And here I am with years of it, like this ability to inhale complex systems and then give them out in a way that our people can understand them, through a Maori lens, through an indigenous lens. Here I am sitting on that and not sharing it. I'm like, let's just go. We need to light this bitch up. When people learn something, when people hear, when people learn something, that speaks to them and normalizes how they've been feeling and normalizes, you know, some of their deepest fears and frustration, when it normalizes, when it calms those things, when people hear that, when people hear something that normalizes and calms them at a soul level, that's the beginning of freedom. I have seen people learn about, get some awareness about how they're designed to move in the world, and I have seen them do nothing with it. And I have also seen people learn about this awareness and how they're designed to move in their world. And I have seen 360-degree turns and change happen. I've seen it. Like miracle type stuff. And it all starts with that awareness. It's this glow. It's this glowing glow that happens around someone, around their aura. It's this glow that comes into their life because they have just seen something that has helped to normalize how they have felt, and they can finally put into words the way that they've been feeling in terms of being fearful or frustrated. They can finally put into words how they've felt but didn't know how to language. And these knowledge systems have given them the permission to really own that that's how they felt, and that, you know, they can make sense of it now. It's given people so much permission. So that's one of the reasons why right now it's very needed. The second reason is that back in the day, as Māori, as Indigenous, we used to live with our whānau and our hapu on our marae. And back in the day, our old people would recognize and nurture, guide our tamariki, our children, based on the skills and the desires and the natural things that children were drawn to. They could recognize their skills and their abilities and then help nurture them to go forward in those paths. For a lot of people, a lot of Indigenous people around the world, we don't live on our whenua, we don't live on our lands anymore. We don't live with our whānau anymore. We don't live in that way, in those old ways. And one thing when I was in Wānanga about why this is so important is because I see human design and gene keys being somewhat of a way that can you know, it's nothing compared to what it would have been like to live back in the days with our old ones around us and nurturing us and encouraging us and, you know, championing our skills and stuff, and being seen and recognized. Like, oh, as a projector, I just feel like, oh, what, like, oh, that would have been so good, you know. um yeah, but we don't have that anymore, and so I see human design and gene keys being a way to um help us to see in ourselves what our old people would have seen in us, to bring back that way of knowing, you know. I just remember growing up, going to school, and then like kind of having to roam my own waka. And whilst there were like things and said about what I was good at and stuff, it didn't really, like, it didn't hit. And there was a lot of years spent like just rowing my waka over waterfalls. You know, it just seemed like such a struggle. And human design, gene keys, these modalities are for our children, for them to know who they are. I'm halfway through my life right now. A lot of you my age are, we are halfway through our lives right now, but maybe it's on us to for this to resonate, for us to get those aha moments, for us to have our frustrations and our fears normalized, and for us to go, oh, this is a thing. You know, this knowledge, this mātauranga, this is actually helpful for our children. And maybe, you know, maybe not that it's too late for us, but maybe, because it's not, you know, you can decondition in about 7 years, okay? And like, I'm 3.5, coming up 4 years of my experiment. Like, I've definitely seen the change in just choosing to live more in alignment with how my energy actually is designed to move in the world. So it's not too late for us. But what I'm trying to say is that the quicker us adults get on board and see this mātauranga as valuable, the quicker we can start to pass it on to our tamariki, and to get them involved by knowing their designs, knowing how their energy is designed to move, and start looking at them and treating them um, in a type of way that says, you are unique, you do have unique abilities, skill sets, ways of moving in the world, and we're going to nurture those. We recognize them, we see them, and we're going to nurture those. Kapai. So it's for our babies, it's for our tamariki, ultimately what's being shared here. But like most things that our children get given, it has to be valued by the big people in their lives first. So my job is to talk to you about valuing this mātauranga so that it can make it through to them, so that you can value it and then you can pass it on, and bring it into your whares and bring it into our schools and into, you know, our workplaces. Yes. So, yep, that's this video, and see you on the next.